Afternoon. Thanks for joining me, Dorothea, on Through an Orthodox Christian Lens. I've got some updates for you on the Ukraine-Russian intense war. Obviously, the intensity has picked up after the strikes, the Ukrainian strikes on the nuclear capable, or the bombers, the planes that are used for nukes, and then the two bridges, and then of course the Kursk bridge was also hit, as I mentioned the other day. What I'm going to share with you right now is what happened the other day, so probably about 48 hours to maybe 3 days ago at the most, Russian-Ukraine time. The first thing Russia did in response to these attacks, although some people are saying that was just the start, that wasn't really the total response or to that, but I'm going to share with you that particular part, and start it right now on WION.
Targeted multiple regions, leaving at least 4 people dead and 40 others injured. The cities from Kiev to Lviv were plunged into chaos as explosions lit up the night sky. Zelensky is urging the West to act quickly. And our next story brings you close to what's actually happening on the ground in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Ukraine wakes up to a nightmare, the sky filled with the ominous hum of drones and the deafening roar of missiles. This is the moment when missiles struck the city of Lutsk in western Ukraine. Russia's unprecedented attack deployed 407 drones and 44 missiles.
Пиздец, просто пиздец.
Including ballistic and cruise types across nearly every region of Ukraine. The aerial assaults have been relentless. CCTV cameras catch the moment of the Russian strike on a Kharkiv residential area. In Kyiv, the capital, explosions rocked residential areas, igniting fires and causing widespread damage.
Okay, so that's what happened, the first large-scale attack since the attack from the Ukrainians. And then I'm going to show you a basic back and forth between the two in the past 48 hours. I think it's been. This is Hindustan Times.
They gave Putin a reason to go in and bomb the hell out of him last night. That's the thing I didn't like about it. When I saw it, I said, here we go.
Okay, so you get an idea that it's just gotten even worse, more intense, more often. We already know the battle's been going on for nearly 4 years, but this is an escalation. It's an increase for sure. Just wanted to give you an idea because me trying to explain that, I don't have military knowledge, or I'm not a military person, so I wouldn't be able to give you too much on that. But I figured you would get something out of these two stories, news stories. I'm going to show you two different things. Now, I told you about how Americans, the analysts I follow, are seeing what's going on. But I haven't shown you Scott Ritter's view on what happened, on his view on the attacks by Ukraine, of the triad, as they put it, the nuclear triad, and the bridges, the trains, the civilians, and also the what he thinks Russia was going to do. So I'm going to start with that because he is speaking a couple days ago, before, I think the video was out before Russia, and it could have been right after the first retaliation that Russia did a couple days ago. So I'm going to show that for you. See if I can get on that. Okay. I'm just going to give you this short information.
You know, on the one hand, hats off to the Ukrainians. I mean, they pulled off something that is daring. There's just no other way to put it. Two, the hell with the Ukrainians. They just committed acts of international terrorism that put the United States and the world at risk by carrying out an attack against Russia's strategic nuclear deterrent force. They violated a number of red lines that exist in Russia's current nuclear doctrine that would doctrinally allow Russia to use nuclear weapons, not just against Ukraine, but against the United States and Great Britain. One of the factors of this 2024 statement is that if a non-nuclear state uses conventional power to strike Russia's strategic capabilities, and they're assisted in this by a nuclear power, then the nuclear power is to be held account and treated as a target. And there's no way that Ukraine carried this out without the assistance of at least the British, and more than likely including the United States. We don't know the total damage. The reports are coming in that appear that the Ukrainians may have destroyed upwards of 6 aircraft, damaged some others. They're talking about 4% of the Russian strategic nuclear air assets were impacted by this attack. There's an old saying: if you're going to strike the king, kill the king. And by going after Russia's strategic nuclear deterrence, take it out, but they didn't. It was a pinprick. And now what has happened is that the entire Ukraine has impacted this conflict to its detriment. They're not winning on the battlefield. They're getting slaughtered on the battlefield. It's getting worse for them on the battlefield. And what they've just done, based upon the statements made by Vladimir Putin right now as we speak, is they've destroyed any chance of diplomacy between Russia and a Ukraine governed by Zelensky. Zelensky's now been identified as a terrorist leader. Ukraine is a terrorist nation, and nations that continue to support Ukraine will be labeled as terrorist nations as well, and that includes the United States of America. Russia has made it clear that they will not negotiate with Zelensky, and they will not allow any ceasefire, that they're going to continue this conflict until it reaches its natural progression. But that's where we're at. I mean, a daring stroke, but a suicidal stroke. I mean, go hand out medals to the SBU people who planned this, and then they'll be captured by the Russians and charged with terrorism and given the appropriate sentence, because they will not. I'll just make this statement as clear as possible. They will not finish their life normally. everybody involved in this operation will find that their life is terminated one way or the other by the Russians, who will never forgive and will never forget what was done.
Whoa. Okay. Now leave it to Scott Ritter to speak bluntly, and he's speaking from as a former Marine, so he's speaking in a military way that isn't emotional. That isn't. It's just what he sees, and this makes sense because of how the Russians view terrorism. So I'm going to play now. Now, of course, Ray McGovern, the former CIA analyst that I follow, along with his fellow CIA analyst, Larry Johnson. So Ray McGovern has a more optimistic view. He believes that because President Trump and President Putin are continuing to talk, as well as Lavrov and Rubio, that things are okay, and that some are arguing that, even Ray as well, are arguing that they want to have a normalized, Russians want to have a normalized relationship with America, and they know this is, through Trump, this is their chance to, hopefully have that. We don't know what's going to happen, but that's what somebody was, one of the analysts was talking about. I think it was Ray. There is a good point that Ray makes at the end of an interview I watched today that was out, I don't know, a day or two ago. And I want to play that for you just to show a different perspective on something here, some information that's important as well. Let's see. Okay. So it's just this small portion here. I'll move back a little bit.
Thank you, Stasia. I would just like to second what Colonel Bossart has said here. I see the problem as twofold. One is a generational problem. Now, here's a little true vignette. When I was in Moscow 3 weeks ago or so, I was with Oliver Stone, and that got me access to very important high officials. One who was next to the top turned to me over a dinner that he arranged for us, and he said, "Mr. McGovern, you are a Russian specialist. You studied Russian area studies. Why is it that you don't hate Russia?" Oh my God. And that took me aback, and then I realized it's a generational thing. I had the good fortune of studying Russian studies at Fordham University with people who respected Russia, who knew Russian history. Some of them, one of them actually lived through the blockade of Leningrad, for God's sake, and lived through it, okay? I learned so much about Russia. It's impossible to hate Russia. And I told them that, okay? Now, the state of Russian studies has deteriorated to the point where my friend Stephen Cohen, rest his soul, couldn't donate millions of dollars to a university to get a Russian institute established, which would be named after Cohen, because he was so out of favor. He was a Russian sympathizer, okay? Now, that's one thing, the generational thing. The other thing is that Putin knows what war is like. It was an accident of history that he was born at all. His father was deeply wounded. His mother was almost left for dead, okay? He lost his big brother, Victor. He's asked about his big brother in front of that mound that represents a cemetery in Leningrad, St. Petersburg now, with million people who perished during the siege. And they said, where's your brother Victor? Putin said, he's over there, okay? So this just by way of saying the Russians not only know what war is, they know that the British don't know war unless they're old enough to have lived in the 1700s, as the Colonel pointed out, okay? And they know...
Hey everyone, big heads up. Wild Pastures is running a sale right now. You can get $15 off your first box, free ship.
Oops. So sorry.
that the Americans don't know what war is because they have two oceans separating them from both of the continents, and they just have not suffered devastation in their country that Russia has. So, what does this mean? That means that Putin and his associates have have to walk on tenterhooks. But they have brought President Trump around. And again, this assassination thing is very important. Last thing I'll say is that one incentive for Putin to deal with Trump is because he realizes only too well that not only Trump might not be around very much longer, but he, Putin, might not be around very much longer. This is reality, folks. It's a strange way of saying this is incentive toward peace, but it is. So let's not hinder them. Let's not support the New York Times and the Washington Post by repeating disinformation. Let's convene together like we are just now and spread real information. Thank you, Anastasia.
Wow. Okay, so Ray always has a way of looking at things differently regarding humanity. He's a very empathetic person. And he's basically saying, as we said, you know, the importance of Putin and Trump speaking when there wasn't any for 4 years. Well, since this thing started, so yeah, nearly 4 years. This worry over the assassinations of either Trump or Putin, or perhaps both, that's some, you know, he makes a good point there. They may not be around. We don't know. What I do know is that Elder Joseph of Vatopuri, that's a monastery on Mount Athos in Greece, said in an interview in 2001, October 2001, about this war coming, this World War III. And I was just reading it the other day, that I think is important to mention now, because he basically said the war is coming, and he doesn't specify before, during, or after, but he said as pertains to Vladimir Putin, he won't be around very long. And so that just came to my mind after hearing this. But we don't know, you know. Prophecies that revealed by God to holy people, and they can be changed through our prayers of repentance, asking for mercy, as we continue to ask mercy from God that this upcoming continuing war, because it really is part of World War III, what we're going through, that he lessens what's to come. And so I'm going to share another prophecy by him that has 7 phases, and I'm hoping to share with you those phases. We'll see, you know, what happens. A lot of times it's done through allegories and things like that people can't totally understand until it actually unfolds and happens. But I want to share that with you in the next video. So I think I got through everything I needed to get through on this one. And so thanks so much for watching. Please follow my channel, like my videos if you like them, share my channel, share my videos. Please follow me on Rumble, my Rumble channel here, and through the Orthodox Christian Lens, and please follow me through my subscribe on my YouTube channel of the same name, obviously. And so thanks for your support. I hope you're having a great late afternoon. Until the next video. Thanks.